Hello, my name is Matthew Melton, and I'm going to share my near-death experience story with you today. It's a pretty crazy story, definitely still processing what happened. Happened in 2011. I was a younger person, and I'm a musician, so when I tell people this story, a lot of times they go, oh, it was probably drug-related, something like this. And that's not the case, so this is not drug-related. I was at a concert, attending, not performing. The reason why I died is so dumb. It's hilarious, actually. But I got a bag of sunflower seeds from Trader Joe's, and it said raw sunflower seeds. And I ate the bag. Then I'm at this concert, and I notice this rash kind of on my neck, and I go in the bathroom, and it's on my whole body. And I'm thinking something major's going down, right? So I go to the emergency room because I'm going, what in the world is happening? I go through the doors of the emergency room. They say, what's wrong with you? I ate some sunflower seeds. Are you allergic to sunflower seeds? No, I'm not, but I'm having this rash. Like, what's up? And they say, well, sir, we have to do this emergency life-saving procedure. And they put me in the room, and in one arm, pretty rapidly, put a major dose of antihistamines. The other arm, it was a major dose of steroids. And when those steroids went down my arm and got to my heart, like that second, that's what did it. And the second I felt it go through my arm, hit my heart stops, and I'm like blast through essentially what felt like a tube or a wormhole. Apologies for any cliches, but that is what it felt like. Blasted like at the speed of light. And I find myself in this unusual place that appears to be darkness. But you have to understand that the second that you die, you're not in the physical world anymore. It's a whole different ballgame. So you don't have eyes. So what I was perceiving as darkness may not have been even relative to light or dark. But I essentially pop out in this zone, which I have no understanding of. And I grew up in Memphis with no religious ties. So I grew up not kind of ever hearing about religion or growing up with a childhood religion. So I didn't really have a religious background to frame this experience, which I think actually gave me a pretty pure experience of what happens after death, because I had no preconceived concept of what happens. I kind of just didn't really ever learn about it or go to church or anything. So I'm in this space, and the first thing that hits me is what happened and the realization that I was still me, even though no body. So no body, but I was still me. I still felt like my consciousness. And I'm sort of coming online in this very unusual scenario of having no physical body. And I'm sort of poking my head around and realizing that I was able to move around at will, kind of like you just think left and you move left. And I was able to kind of float around. So I'm getting my bearings in this place, which is beyond this world, and presented to me. There were no entities, no voices, nothing like that, but just plumed up in front of me is what appeared to be, and this sounds totally nuts, but I want to give an accurate representation of what truly happened to me. It was what appeared to be kind of like a translucent rolodex of images, kind of like image cards or image discs. And I was able to flip through these with my mind, kind of like if you were trying to move a cursor with your mind and you were like, move it to the left. So I started flipping through these things, and they were images from my life, which immediately gave me the impression that my lifetime here on planet Earth was being monitored by something, and there was a record of it. But I flipped through these images. Some of them I didn't recognize mixed in, and it didn't quite make sense. So I'm totally confused. But let me tell you, the feeling of being outside of your body was pure bliss. And another realization I got was that when you're in a physical body, that is that nervous system and everything that your soul or spirit or whatever you want to call it is tethered to. That's where all of your sensation comes from, that feeling of being weighed down by gravity, that feeling of being sensitive to your environment, touch, all these sensations all stripped away, and you're just really what you truly are. And that feeling was so incredible. It was like the weight of the world finally removed, and to feel what it's like to just be truly free. So that's the other takeaway, was that the life that we live here on earth is some type of illusion. It's not actually what is really happening, and that there's a true nature of reality that is greatly misunderstood from person to person, regardless of religion. And I remember having this feeling of like all religions were kind of right in a way, and that there is this moving on into another lifetime. So I have this moment of realization in this weird space, and then out of nowhere, provoked by nothing I could see, snap back down the same way I came, boom, onto the operating tray or whatever I was on, and the operating table or whatever it was. And that feeling of re-entering a human body is the worst feeling I've ever experienced. The feeling of gravity coming back, that horrible sensation of being trapped in a human body. Now, life's a beautiful thing. I got the impression that we are here for a purpose. That's what I gleaned from this. It's some type of game. It's some type of test, and you're supposed to do it. Life is a good thing. You can't just cut it off. You want to play the game. That's what I took from it, is a feeling of, I got it. There's some reason for it. There's some reason to go through all the suffering, all the trials of life. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. I'll never forget when I blasted back into my body, sitting up and just puking my guts out. It was like I had time traveled, because that was another thing I gleaned from the experience, was that time is not quite what we think it is. It's some type of illusion. It's not actually real. It's some type of system. It's some type of structure that we're sort of trapped in. This perpetual cycles of the earth is not actually real in terms of what's actually happening beyond what we can perceive on earth. So that was a weird one, just feeling like I had traveled through time, and understanding that whole experience I had taken place in just a handful of seconds, and having that doctor put his hand on my shoulder and say, hey, I have to tell you, we lost you for a moment there. And that chilling feeling of seeing them all around me, they brought me back with the things, the shocker things, because I guess what had happened was I had an allergic reaction to herbicides that were sprayed on the sunflower seeds. So I'm not allergic to sunflower seeds. I'm allergic to the pesticide or whatever it was. So that's what gave me the rash. But the procedure is actually what stopped my heart. Occasionally, steroids can do that and do anaphylactic shock. So who knows? Pretty weird scenario, but I panicked and went to the emergency room and ended up getting blasted out of this world and had a pretty trippy experience. And I definitely looked at life differently afterwards. I wasn't a bad person, but I wasn't a great person before that. And it definitely made me question a few things and try and live my life in a cleaner and more beneficial way for others, and maybe expanding things beyond just, focusing on what's in it for me, but really thinking about, we're connected, we're in this together. So I got that sense too. But it was pretty interesting. Doesn't quite make sense, doesn't quite add up. I didn't get a whole lot of conclusions, but I ascertained a few things. I mean, just the idea that I know for a fact that your body may die, but you don't die when you die, right? That's just the body. You're this other thing that's piloting the body. That did become clear. And that's for anyone who's not aware of that, that's such a wake-up call, and really can blow your mind when you realize that. And that's sort of part of the secret to life, is overpowering the animal part of your body with the, your focused spirit on where you're going in life, how you treat other people, how you treat your significant other, things like this that we sort of glean over. Some of us can get into patterns that are, being a selfish person or being too demanding or whatever it is. It just makes you stop and think that it counts, how you play the game counts. I do feel like, based on my experience, that it is not good to be evil in your life in the most non-religious way possible. Like, you need to be good to other people. There's something to it. There's something observing us or something, but it counts. I did get the impression we're playing for keeps. This is the real deal. And you need to take your life seriously and see what you can make of it. And that the idea of kind of living an average life and sitting by the wayside or watching its opportunities go by is not a good thing. Like, you're supposed to play. So that's pretty much what I took from it. And I definitely don't fully understand it. And, growing up non-religious, I didn't really have a religious reference point for what happened, but I'm sure people can chime in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. But it was interesting, to say the least. definitely very nice to be outside of a human body. I will say very, very nice. Coming back was not very nice. Probably the worst thing I've ever experienced is re-entering, but so uncomfortable. You don't really realize it because you've been in it all your life. But this thing that we're in is a real drag. The weight of it, the weight of gravity, all that goes away. And that is really magical feeling. Thanks so much for listening to my story. Let me know what you think in the comments, and we will see you on the next one.
If you like this story, be sure to support The Other Side NDE by checking out our brand new book below,